I first noticed the house at the end of the street. It had always been there, just another old, unremarkable building in a row of similar ones, but that day something about it caught my eye. The windows were dark, as if they hadn't been opened in years, and the front door, which I could swear had always been white, was now a dull gray, its paint peeling away in thick strips. The air around it felt different, like something was wrong. I couldn't put my finger on it. At first, I didn't think much of it. I had always passed by this house on my way to work, and it had never seemed out of place. But the feeling stayed with me. That evening, I took the long way home, walking slowly past the house. This time, I noticed something in the front yard, something dark, something that shouldn't have been there. A figure. A shadow standing just behind the fence, motionless. I stopped. I didn't know why, but my feet wouldn't move. The shadow didn't move either. It just stood there, still and silent. A chill crept up my spine, and for the first time, I really looked at the house. It felt alive, like it was waiting for something? Or someone. The next day, I returned. My curiosity got the best of me. I told myself I would just take a quick look, a casual glance at the house. But as I approached, the shadow was there again. This time, I could see it more clearly, a figure, tall and thin, draped in something dark. I could almost make out the features of its face, but the light never quite reached it, as if the figure was made of shadow itself. I should have turned around. I should have walked away. But I didn't. Instead, I found myself crossing the street, my eyes locked on that figure. My steps were slow at first, but then they picked up, almost as if I was being drawn to it. The closer I got, the more I could feel the weight of something heavy pressing against me, an unseen force that pulled me closer to the house. When I reached the gate, I froze. The figure was gone, but something had changed. The door to the house was slightly ajar. I knew I shouldn't go inside, but I couldn't resist. I pushed the door open just a crack, enough to peer inside. The darkness seemed to spill out, cold and thick, like something was waiting for me in the shadows. I stepped inside, my breath shallow. The floor creaked beneath my feet as I moved further into the house, each step feeling like it was taking me deeper into something I couldn't understand. The air was stale, and the walls were covered in old wallpaper, faded and peeling. I could hear the soft sound of something moving in the distance, a low shuffle that seemed to echo through the house. And then I saw it. At the end of the hall, just past the stairs, was a door. It was cracked open, a faint light spilling from the other side. I didn't want to go any further, but my feet carried me forward, my heart pounding in my chest. As I reached the door, I hesitated. My hand trembled as I pushed it open, just a little. The room beyond was empty, but the walls were lined with mirrors, all reflecting the same thing, a figure, standing in the corner of the room, watching me. I couldn't see its face, but I could feel its eyes, cold and endless, staring straight at me. I tried to move, but my body wouldn't obey. My legs were frozen, my chest tight with fear. And then, from the corner of the room, the figure began to move. Slowly, it turned, its form shifting, twisting, as if it were made of the very shadows that clung to the walls. It stepped toward me, its presence growing stronger with each step. I wanted to scream, to run, but I couldn't. I was trapped, caught in the gaze of something I couldn't comprehend. It stopped in front of me, so close that I could feel the coldness radiating from its body. For a moment, there was nothing but silence. And then, in a voice that sounded like a whisper from the dark, it said my name. I tried to speak, but no words came. My throat was dry, and my mind was blank. The figure reached out, its hand cold and trembling, as if it were reaching for something buried deep within me. And in that moment, I understood. It wasn't just a shadow. It was me. The last thing I remember is the feeling of its cold fingers wrapping around my wrist, pulling me into the darkness. I don't know how long I've been here. Time doesn't seem to exist in this place. All I know is that the house is still waiting. And so am I.